we go over to Netflix and Friends for the final thing we're going to talk about this week, and this is My Dad, the Bounty Hunter Season 2. Now, I spoke about My Dad, the Bounty Hunter Season 1 a while back, and this is a show that, to be honest with you, now that I have kids, I sometimes just go into Netflix and I say, okay, I want my kids to be represented. So I just go. There's some shows I found by just typing "black girl" into Netflix to see to see what comes up. And this is one of those shows that came up when I was doing one of those. I wonder how diverse Netflix thing is. And it's a show called My Dad, the Bounty Hunter, and it's based around a Black American family. And in the first season, what happens is like you find out that the dad, as it's called, the dad is a bounty hunter. The dad is a bounty hunter, but he's a bounty hunter with a difference in that one day his kids are like, oh no, we want to stay with the dad. The dad keeps leaving us so they sneak into his boot when he's about to drive off to a job, which he gets at the last minute. He's supposed to be hanging around. He's estranged from their mom and all that. And but to their surprise, when they're supposed to drive off in the car goes vertically upwards. And when the car goes vertically upwards, they found out that the dad is a bounty hunter, but he's a space bounty hunter, and that space exists and aliens exist, and they don't know any about this stuff. And the whole thing about the first season is their dad trying to get them back home, and all the hijinks and the adventures that they get into before they get back home. And this is one of the cases of a season 2 following directly on from a season 1 in such a seamless fashion that I think that they must have had this entire story mapped out before they started season 1. So it wasn't a case of we'll start season 1. Oh, we got season 2. Oh, we got to come up with a story now because season 2 of this they have to call it My Dad the Bounty Hunter because obviously people know that from season 1. But this season could actually even be called My Mom the Bounty Hunter because something happens at the end of the first season that makes the focus all about the mom. And it's like something about their mom that they never knew this whole time. And that comes to bear in the second season, where the dad gets kidnapped, and then their mom suits up and goes, right, we need to go get your dad. And so and their mom goes off and then decides and goes off on an adventure trying to get her husband back. Trying to get her husband back. And I loved this show. It's like, when you have a Saturday morning serial, like when you were growing up, like the kind of things that ended up being turned into your Star Wars and everything like that. This is almost a textbook example of that. Everything about this show I thought works better. The obvious final battle they have to get to, the way they do it, the way different things go on, I thought was great. I think the performances and the characters, it's one of these shows that has kid characters that are the right kind of annoying. Like, they're not annoying to the viewer, but you can see that this is coming from something to do with their parents, and they'll be annoying to their parents and all that. And there's a line that the mom gives where she just goes, I'm living my nightmare. And it's just the delivery of it and the moment it is. And it's just so well done. And the big thing about this is, okay, first of all, they've gone with a black family, a black American family. But then they go to a planet, and I can only describe this planet as an African planet. So they go to a planet, and everything in this planet it is so coded from Africa. It is almost kind of like Wakanda in space, kind of which I think and I do think that probably this show wouldn't exist if Black Panther hadn't happened. So there's all these things, but I actually feel you've heard me complain about Black Panther and heard me complain about the fact that yes, it's sort of like mixes and matches and remixes Africa and all that kind of stuff, but a lot of the people that it's doing it for is for the Black Americans, and like there isn't really that much African representation. And I think that they redress that balance in this show, and this show I think does it better than Black Panther. In that I was going, oh my god, look at that! Oh my god, oh yeah, that accent is spot on. Who did that voice? And that was just me jumping around, looking at all these different things, and I loved it. You are never going to watch it because it's animated. I know that, but I think that the mix between the characters, the way they go, the whole thing, they do a whole bunch of sci-fi tropes. Like the mom had a secret past life that nobody really knew about, so she has to go back and she has to make this contact with this person from her past life who's really annoyed at her because they went away from her. Those are all tropes that you have in these sort of sci-fi stories, but it's just done so well here. And I love this. If anybody has kids, the kids do not have to be black. It's cool. If anybody has kids, this is something that I think you could watch with your kids, and both of you would enjoy, which is what I have been doing over the last couple of.
The best animation does that though, doesn't it? It is multi-layered. It isn't just a straightforward
Yeah, yeah. I have been making a thing of trying to avoid the Peppa Pigs, trying to
Yeah.
find things that I can watch and my kids can also watch, which is getting more and more difficult. But there are some things, and My Dad the Bounty Hunter is something that I think you can totally watch with your kids. It's great, it's fun. There's jokes in there that only the parents will get. There's a bit like that. I mean, when you talk about tropes, there's even a bit where obviously the dad gets taken from Earth and gets taken to this African planet, and then he has to go through this trial of tribulation or something like that, where he has to, and he gets put up in this outfit. And when there's a bit where the mom sees the dad in the outfit, and she goes, "Huh, well, I'm getting you out of here, and we're taking whatever this is back home." And you're like, for all the parents, you're like, okay, and kids are like, la la
Okay.
la 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 la.
Yeah, Daddy looks funny. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The daddy's wearing really tight pants. And it's like, so yeah, so I think this is really, really good. I am so impressed with this show. I'm so impressed with, I think it's, Everett Downing, who came up with the original idea of the show, and Patrick Halpin, who works with him on it. And I just, it was essentially, let me put it this way. I was watching the show and I was like, I'm enjoying this so much. I need to look up this guy. And I was like, please let the guy who made this show be black. Please let him be black. And yes, the guy who came with the original idea is black. And I'm like, oh, I can breathe easy. I can enjoy it with a clear conscience now because because it's not so much cultural preparation. But I would give My Dad the Bounty Hunter 4 stars. Season two's 4 stars, and I would say watch it. It's great. Sure enough, they want you to come back for a season three, but you could watch this and leave it. You could watch this and leave, and even though and it's not too sequel baity. It's not too sequel baity. I think where the story ends up and the sort of like, ooh, what's going to happen next scene makes sense based on what's been happening, what you've seen happen in the whole show so far. Right, so that is My Dad, The Bounty Hunter Season 2. And Sharon, all that's left to do is to ask you, who do you think has won this week, Netflix or cinema?